Okay, I think we've got quite a few people that have joined us now. So again, I'll reiterate this. If you guys haven't checked in this week, please make sure to do so. I've dropped a link in the chat as well for anyone that cannot get the QR code to work. So just make sure you fill out the form and also just sign in, just so at the end of this course, we can give you a certificate of completion just to signify that you've gone through this course all about generative AI. So it's just hit the hour mark for me. So I think what we will do is we will get started. If anyone has any questions throughout the session, feel free to drop them in the chat. Faz is in the chat, and he will be answering any questions as we go along. I'll also have around 10 minutes at the end just for any immediate questions. So, but I will try my best to sort of answer questions as we go along, so we have more intermediate sessions. But today, what we're doing is we are looking at copywriting and how LLMs like ChatGPT or Bard or Gemini, as it's sort of now called, can be used for copywriting. So if any of you maybe are unfamiliar with this term and what copywriting actually is, the effective idea behind copywriting is just to convey the message about your product and to promote it in some way to enable your product or service to reach as many people as possible, and also to encourage people you are sending the message to either subscribe to your product or buy your product or whatever nature that it may be. So it could range from anything from writing a slogan for a billboard or writing, let's say, the structure for a Super Bowl commercial, for example. So it's all about promoting your brand identity and effectively driving sales for whatever it may be. So, of course, it's all about using persuasive techniques, and ChatGPT or any other LLM can be very useful to go about go about this. So we'll go into exactly how it can be done. So in terms of ChatGPT, so for example, if you are generating some ideas, potentially if you're writing an article and you're writing into, let's say, some writer's block, one thing that ChatGPT is very good for is generating a lot of ideas that you can use to your article. So you may find that you can provide ChatGPT the context of your article, and it can generate some further points of, let's say, paragraphs you may write. Another thing it can do it can, well, generate, yeah. Monica, you just missed the code for checking in. I'll get fast to just drop a link to that in the chat. But yeah, another thing it can do is you can write SEO meta descriptions. So for example, if you've got a business you want to promote and want to make sure that your business is getting to the first page of Google, for example, you can use ChatGPT to write the meta description to help promote it as so. Again, another thing we outlined is also social media posts, let's say, or blog posts. So we could get ChatGPT to generate the overall structure for that. And another thing it's also very useful for summarizing articles. So say you don't have, let's say, 20 minutes to sit and read the whole article. What you could do is paste that whole article into ChatGPT, and it can summarize the key points for you, just so you can see if it's maybe worth your time in understanding uh, whether it's actually useful that you could actually read it. Okay, so as we mentioned, so ChatGPT is very useful for generating content ideas and brainstorming. So, like I mentioned, if you run into, let's say, a writer's block, it can be very good to maybe help you get out of it and generate some good ideas. Of course, it's not a substitute for letting ChatGPT do everything for you. Don't expect it to create the best ideas, but collaborating with ChatGPT can be very useful to create and reach overall good output, and making sure that you can combine that, let's say, the AI strengths with human strengths, because of course I guess it's a robot at the end of the day. It doesn't have, let's say, the same emotions that a human does. So understanding the way that you can convey language in an adequate manner for your, let's say, specific domain will be quite important, because ChatGPT doesn't necessarily understand everything for the context. Okay, so I think we've got some examples here, particularly comparing ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. And we can see here, we've got the exact same prompts on both sides. So the prompt you can see, hopefully you can see right here, is it says, I run a newsletter that teaches people how to make money writing about tech, sorry. Give me five short potential headlines. So you can see it's given us 5 headlines here. And similarly, ChatGPT-4 has given us similar headlines. You may be able to compare the two, and you can see that they're very similar. There's like minor differences between the two. And in fact, if you were to try this out for yourself, you'll probably find something similar with the exact same prompt. But again, of course, the even with the same prompt, sometimes ChatGPT doesn't necessarily generate the exact same thing. So if you tried this out for yourself today, you might not get the exact same prompts that we've got here. These were done by our team a few weeks ago, I believe. So the model may have evolved, so you might not necessarily get the exact same thing, but you can see how useful it may be to generate some topics you may want to write about, let's say. So in terms of, let's say, writing about tech, so you can see it's come up with an article, let's say, tech writing blueprint, how to build a sustainable writing business. So that could be a topic you might want to write about. And then coming on from that, you can say we've got potential taglines and then also call to actions. And you can see, again, the slight differences between ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. Again, I think I've sort of already mentioned, there's not too much difference between the two. They are rather similar. ChatGPT 4 you may see is a little bit more detailed. You may see that there's the actual, let's say, the taglines here, they're slightly longer in 4 than they are in 3, which may be a good or bad thing depending on the context that you want. But again, if we were to generate headlines ourselves, it might take us maybe 30 minutes to an hour to do all of this, whereas ChatGPT can do this in, let's say, a few seconds. So you may find it is actually a very useful tool to getting everything, getting ideas, so you can maybe write an article, let's say. So we've got a little task right now. So what I want you guys to do is use an LLM of your choice, whether that is either ChatGPT or Gemini. I will get fast to put links in the chat. Of course, if you are not subscribed to ChatGPT 4 or Gemini Pro, that's perfectly fine. We've designed the course so that you can use whatever tool you'd like. You can use Gemini here, as I've got on the screen. I'll get fast to hopefully put a link into the chat, or ChatGPT 3.5 or ChatGPT 4 if you have a subscription. I don't have a subscription at the moment, but you can, of course, if you do have a subscription, you can, of course, choose between the two models. Again, same thing with Gemini Advanced. You can switch between the two models right here. But the main idea for this task is just try to go about creating a output depending on a specific context of a brand. So give some additional context to ChatGPT to align its output and make sure that whatever you're trying to do is, adequate for your context. So as an example, I will go to ChatGPT 3 and I will create an idea. So let's say I am a supermarket and I want to create a commercial. Let's say we provide it with that kind of context. So I am a supermarket and would like to create a commercial. Oh, I spelled commercial wrong. Whoops. I accidentally hit the enter button. Sorry. I'll write a new chat. So I am a supermarket and want to create a commercial. Okay. Can't spell commercial, but I'm not a writer. I'm more of a computer scientist. So I want to create a commercial. Can you give me some ideas? Need some ideas. So you can see the initial prompt I provided is rather vague. And you can see, hopefully, it should give me some ideas. And you can see it's giving me some ideas of what I could talk about in the commercial. However, the actual prompt I provided isn't particularly that engaging, and that's the main goal for this task. The main goal is to make sure that whatever it is, you are going with the preferred style. So if you are a supermarket, it could depend. So you might be selling groceries, let's say, or you might be selling tech products. make sure you provide that context. So let's say in this situation, I'm a supermarket. Let's say I am specifically selling groceries. Oh, I can't spell. We'll continue. So I'm specifically selling groceries. So I'm providing some additional context, and given that I'm doing selling groceries, it's giving me some particular information related to that. So talking about groceries, of course, we want freshness and quality in our products. Let's say local sourcing and let's say affordability, meal solutions, so forth. So you can see that's less generic than, let's say, just customer service or community engagement or convenience or value and savings. It's more specific to the context that I want. So yeah, that's the idea behind what we want to go about. Also experiment with, let's say, brand voice and tone. Think about how you want to convey your message, whether it's formal, informal, and so forth. Again, I'll give everyone maybe, let's say, a few minutes to have a go at this. Play around with, let's say, a hypothetical scenario, whatever that may be, and then talk about providing additional context, providing information about tone in a specific LLM, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini. Okay, if anyone's got any questions at the moment, I'm happy to take them, seeing as we've got a little bit of downtime. But yeah, hopefully you should have at least have a go for a couple of minutes or so. Again, feel free to, once you've had a go at it, feel free to share some of your outputs with everyone else. And you would either feel free like unmuting yourself or feel free to drop them in the chat as well. I'll probably I'll put the task back up. I'd say. Yeah, so yeah, I'll see. So do we need to put in a general context and then specifics? Well, play around with the way you want to do your context. You may find that you get better results in one way or another. Maybe create a new chat and provide one with general context, provide one with more specifics, and see how see how the outputs change. Maybe you'd also want to compare outputs between ChatGPT and Gemini as well, and see how the differences are. Once you maybe had a go at it, feel free to just give a thumbs up as a reaction or a thumbs up in the chat, just to know that you've had a go, or feel free to post some of your prompts into the chat as well. Yeah, Abalash, I can see you've got a thumbs up, brilliant. Yeah, Terry's managed to give us a output. So they've done a commercial as a photographer, and they've managed to get some ideas as such from the LLM, which is brilliant. Yeah, yeah, Kat's done it as well. Yeah, brilliant. I can see Donald as well. Fantastic. Okay, I will let everyone maybe have another couple more minutes. You can see we've got quite a lot of people come through. Yeah, just another minute or so, and then we'll move on. If anyone needs a little bit more time, feel free to let me know as well. Or if you maybe want to go back and have a go at doing it afterwards, watching the recording back, that's not a problem either. Yeah, Michael, you've got a question. Are there limitations to Gemini Advanced? GPT-4 allows 40 messages and only after 3 hours. I'm not particularly sure. I haven't got much experience with Gemini. Maybe Faz might be better placed to answer that question. I haven't used Gemini myself, or if anyone else has any advice on that. And that I personally haven't had it. I mean, I can have a look and see if there's anything with that. Wait. Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything within there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly sure. It might be something that you might need to try out for yourself. It doesn't seem like there's much information there. Okay, I think what we'll do is we will move on then. Does anyone maybe need another couple minutes? Yeah, so Ruth, yeah, you got a whole script and film directions for our local farm shop. Very detailed. Yeah, very good. Yeah. And then Gio asked about role-playing games for teacher customer service and received great options. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I can see quite a few of you guys have managed to get some good responses. Okay, I think what we'll do is we will move on and we will go on to writing SEO meta descriptions. So yeah, SEO meta descriptions. If you're not too familiar with what SEO is. SEO stands for search engine optimizations. So effectively, what we are looking at is we are trying to promote, let's say, our article or web page as high up in the Google search engine as possible, depending on whatever the user searches for. So it is quite useful for any business to, well, of course, get high up in the Google pages. Otherwise, if no one wants to be on page 2 of Google and no one wants them, not getting your website out there. So it's quite important. And ChatGPT again is another very useful tool in providing SEO meta descriptions so that you can get higher up in the Google searches. Okay, so yeah. So again, we've got another example here. We're comparing basically GPT 3.5 and 4 again. And we can see here we've got two prompts that are again identical. So we've got five possible SEO meta descriptions about an article about what AIs are, how generative AIs work, and how machine learning works. And you can see we've provided the start of the article. And again, you can see we've provided, well, ChatGPT has provided us with 5 bullet points suggesting what the SEO meta description could be. Again, you might notice that the prompts for, well, the outputs for GPT-4 is slightly longer, but again, they are rather similar, but I think GPT-4 is marginally better. So yeah, again, so the idea is, of course, the results are good. They're not perfect. If a human spent a good amount of time going through all of the whole article and providing crazy meta description themselves, obviously the actual output would be better. However, it does provide a good starting point that you can use to improve these meta descriptions better. Again, I think the idea is GPT-4 is slightly better, but ChatGPT 3 does still provide a good response. Still does provide a good response. There are, however, cases where ChatGPT 3 does fail. So, for example, we've got a slightly more advanced prompt on the following page. So we've got the same prompt provided to both articles once again. So it says, give me 5 possible SEO meta descriptions that include the phrase, what is AI for the following article? So it says, so we want what is AI within our output. And we can see we've got another article here. And you can see here, in both scenarios, we get the bullet points with the meta descriptions as follows. However, you can see that in ChatGPT 4, because we want to use what is AI within the meta descriptions, you can see in ChatGPT 4, in fact, it does provide what is AI in every single prompt or output. And that is exactly the tag we want in the meta description. But in GPT-3, by default, you can see it's missing. However, we can actually reprompt it to maybe include the phrase. And you can see in this situation, it does do that. But the first time round, it ended up missing the actual phrase that we want. So if someone was to search what is AI as a Google search, these prompts would be more likely to lead people to your article. Okay. So yeah, we've got some more tasks here. So we want to, so there's 2 tasks here. So first things first. Again, you can try using ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. There are, and if you have the subscription, of course, but also what you can do is also compare between ChatGPT 3.5 or Google Gemini as well, as they're also 2 different LLM models. So see what the difference is between the 2. But the first task is we're talking about SEO meta description. So what I'd like you guys to do is provide ChatGPT with a short article. So just be a few sentences of article of your choice. One thing I will do is, we've mentioned this at the start, is the Sora article, I believe, that Paul provided with us last week. This is an article that Paul provided last week. So this was just an article about OpenAI Sora, which, if you're not too familiar with, it's basically a video generation tool. So let's say we can start with, let's say, the start of this article. And what we want to do is just provide a SEO meta description for this article. So we can prompt ChatGPT as such. Can you provide a SEO meta description for this article? Oh, I spelled article wrong. And let's see what it comes up with. So it comes up with, let's say, just one meta description, like so. And maybe I would like to prompt it to provide some more. Could you provide some more? Maybe around 5, let's say. So again, if I wanted maybe a list of meta descriptions I could select from, so I'm just prompting it again to give me some more meta descriptions, and you can see indeed it has done. And yeah, it seems to capture the general gist of the article fairly okay. So you can see, yeah, OpenAI Sora, catalyst for change in creativity and society, dive into the discussion in data science dojo newsletter and stay ahead of the curve. Yeah, not too bad actually. But yeah, that's the first task. The second task is to try and include keywords. So in this scenario, let's say we copy this article again. Can you provide, let's say, 5 meta descriptions for this article, and make sure to include the keywords let's say open AI Sora. And you can see we have provided text in this. So yeah, so the other prompt for, let's say, the second question will be to provide 5 meta descriptions for this following article and make sure it involves the keywords OpenAI Sora, just so that when someone searches for OpenAI Sora on Google, they are directed to our article as follows. And yeah, it does seem to so it does seem to actually provide meta descriptions, including OpenAI Sora, like we've provided, like so. Okay. Yeah, I'd like everyone to sort of have a go at this. So yeah, you can see hopefully the 2 tasks as follows. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to have a go at these. And if there's any questions, it seems there's a little bit of downtime, I will answer them. I can see I've got some questions to catch up with. Niha asked me, how do you feel about Copilot versus Gemini versus ChatGPT? Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer. That they each have their own benefits and positives. Some are better in certain use case scenarios. So it's a topic that I've talked about in previous weeks. I'm not sure if you've been here or not. But one benefit of Gemini I found is it's very good for research because it has access to the internet by default. So Gemini is particularly good for research. ChatGPT is, again, I believe it's better for, let's say, if you're going about doing any coding compared to Gemini. So in that situation, again, Copilot, I haven't used too much, so I can't comment too much about Copilot. But specific use case scenarios that I found is they each have their own benefits and negatives, let's say. Again, yeah, and so you see the message, yeah, we will provide the recording for this at the end of the week. What you need to do to make sure you receive the recording is, well, check into the session if you haven't done so already. We'll provide a link at the end just in case anyone's missed it, but we will make sure that the recording goes out, just assuming you provide your email address. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see. I think Paul did a prompt themselves. Yeah, so to create a 12-week study plan. Yeah, and so yeah, again, Like we had for the last task, if you managed to have a go at it, a thumbs up never goes amiss, just to make sure everyone's following along and you've had a go at it at the very least. Yeah, yeah, Farida, you've done it. Fantastic. Again, if the yeah, I can see Tara's giving me a thumbs up as well. Brilliant. Yeah, again, if yeah, Tia's got it. Yeah, if there's anything anyone wants me to just go over again very quickly, I'm happy to do so as well, in case I've gone through anything too quickly. Yeah, so Tony, you've got another thing to share with us. So it says I've heard yeah, so you've heard Gemini created fake book reviews, negative, that were passed off as legit. Made up some review and the author of them made them all up. Yeah, that is actually a very common issue with a lot of LLM chatbots, actually. It can sometimes come up with misinformation. So yeah, especially if you ask it to back up some of its points, let's say if you're doing some research, I found a lot of the time it can quote sources that are illegitimate sometimes, and it sometimes just makes up things. So it's always very important to cross-check things when you're using these tools. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've got a few more thumbs up. I will give everyone maybe just a couple more minutes just to in case they're behind with things. Marco, just one thing. So you came in late and didn't see how you started using the AI system. It's not to worry. We will provide the recording at the end of the session so you can catch up with anything you've missed. So if there's anything you sort of missed, try to follow along as best as you can. What we will, and you can feel free to ask questions at the end. Happy to answer them, or drop any particular questions in the chat. But yeah, I mean, just to give you a basic idea, what we've done is we've done the task that we had in the previous page. Let me go back to it.
Hallo.
Hey, yeah.
Warte mal ganz kurz.
You
Ja.
got a question? I'm not sure who's unmuted themselves. That I'll take that as a no. Yeah, so just sorry, just answer your question, Marco. So we've just had a go at these two tasks. We're looking at um copy posting, and we're using both LLMs, either Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever it may be, just to have a go at either summarizing articles or generating SEO meta descriptions and so forth. Again, I will go over this at the end, but I think what we will do is we will move on, seeing as we've got quite a bit more to get through. Yeah, Donald's also giving me a thumbs up. Again, if you sort of maybe missed something, feel free to ask some questions at the end. I will have around 10 minutes or so towards the end just to have a question, just have some time for questions, but also feel free to drop them in the chat. Faz is there on hand to answer questions that you may have immediately. Okay. The next thing we're looking at is creating rough outlines for blog posts. So I've sort of mentioned this point earlier, but one thing that is very useful with LLMs is, and one thing it's very powerful at doing, is helping to overcome writer's block. Again, I think we've all been there if you're writing an article or writing, let's say, a summary of, let's say, your team's progress for the last quarter, whatever that may be, and you've sort of struggled to start the next paragraph, let's say. So one thing that ChatGPT is very useful for is overcoming this. So what you can do is provide it with some additional context and then try to try to get it to help you to start the next paragraph. And an example we can see here, you can see that we can prompt it by this following prompt. So it says to write a short essay answering the question, should writers be scared that AI will take their jobs? So in fact, it will take all the information that it has and generate a article based off that. But you may notice that the flow of the article isn't necessarily the best. You can see every single paragraph starts with something like, however, furthermore, in conclusion. It's almost like, maybe like a middle schooler or a high schooler sort of within the article almost. So you can see it's very, let's say, kind of very structured and maybe doesn't flow as well to maybe engage the reader properly. But you can see that the points that it does make is rather valid. So with regards to this topic, should writers be scared that AI will take their jobs? You can see AI has the potential to revolutionize many industries, including the field of writing. It's understandable that some writers may be concerned about the future of their profession and whether AI will ultimately adopt. So it's making some relevant points, and then its conclusion is like while it is true that AI has the potential to disrupt the writing industry, it should not be as seen as a threat to the profession. Instead, it should be viewed as a tool that can assist human writers in their work, allowing them to focus more on creative and complex tasks. So you can see, yeah, it does in fact make reasonable points, but the writing can sometimes seem a little bit bland and it may not flow as well. So if you were to sit here and read the whole article, it may not be something that conveys emotion as best as it possibly can. Again, yeah, it was just a continuation. I will move on a little bit, seeing as we're sort of running out of time. But you can see it does, provide a good baseline. But if you were to, let's say, reword this and provide some better flow, in, improving the vocabulary, let's say, you actually have a much more refined article. So you use, let's say, take the AI as a base, refine it to, let's say, the style of you'd like it to. So you can see here, we've changed this, the original article, to in the style of the Atlantic or the New Yorker. So, and you can see it's adjusted its language style. So it's not starting with furthermore, but this time it's maybe starting with other hand. It's still going in conclusion, but you can see the writing style has changed somewhat. Yeah, again, something slightly different with GPT-4. It's slightly better. It's still leading on things like furthermores. So you can see this time it started with firstly, and then it's like that being said, and going on with the rest of it. And then additionally here, for instance. So you can see it does have a lot of these like starter words that may start with paragraphs, and it's constantly doing it. So it may not be the best article, but it does provide some good points again. So yeah, I'll skip through this a little bit. Just have a go at the final task for today. So I want you guys to have a look at these two tasks here, which is looking at trying to create trying to create some blog posts. The topic can be whatever you'd like. So in this situation, the first topic is how outlines can help writers beat writer's block and collaborate effectively. Provide it with some additional points, maybe give it some information like what kind of style you want the writing in, whether that's formal or informal, whether you want it to be engaging or monotone. It depends on your context, of course. Um, but yeah, so try and provide a article. Does anyone maybe have an idea of, something we could actually write about that we want to go over? Feel free to actually drop it in the chat, and we'll see what ChatGPT actually provides us. So think of maybe an article title or a topic that we could maybe get it to generate. So yeah, Frida, birthday party ideas is a large group. Yeah, okay, I'll go with Frida. I think they were quite quick. We can do a few, okay? So birthday party ideas as a large group. So let's go with this. Can you write us an article about about let's say birthday party ideas as a large group, and let's see what it says. And you can see it's given us an article, maybe, yeah, and it seems to be relatively reasonable. So you can see it goes about theme parties, outdoor activities, food and drink extravaganza. And then maybe we want to provide it with some additional information. Maybe let's say, could you change the writing style to more informal and talkative? And so let's see what it comes up with this time. Yeah, and you can see it's come up with a different writing style this time. So you can see, yeah, get ready to party. And so it says, hey, party planners. So you've got a big group of friends or family coming together to celebrate someone's birthday. And if you want to make it epic, right? So you can see how it's changed its language style from something more, let's say, slightly more blunt to something a little bit more chatty and informative. So yeah, that's sort of what I want you guys to have a go at. So maybe have a go just at the first task, seeing as we're sort of running out of time. Um, Yeah, apologies for not doing everyone's task, but I think we are sort of running short a little bit. So you can see what the well, what the capabilities are. Again, try and see if you can maybe like provide prompts between maybe ChatGPT and Gemini and see what the differences are and see how they differ in their generation. So you can see there is actually some similarities here. You can see both come up with, let's say, a short introductory paragraph, then gone on to bullet points and so forth. So all about experimenting, see how they change between the two and what articles it might provide. Again, quick thumbs up just to, let me know you've had a go at it. Always good to know that people are following along. Yeah, yeah, really, you've done it. Fantastic. Abhilash, yes. Chandra, Monica, yeah. Brilliant. Again, I'll give everyone just maybe a couple of minutes. And yeah, Casey. Yeah, Kevin, brilliant. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Yeah, yeah, I can see loads of people coming in with thumbs up. So brilliant. I'll just give everyone just another minute just in case anyone else is working on anything. Yep, Mitchell, Paul, brilliant. Betsy, yep, CR, yep. Yeah. Humara's actually yeah, brought up a good point actually. Yeah. So always use the prompt rephrase. So yeah, if you don't actually like the way that ChatGPT has provided the output for you, you can actually use the prompt like Kimara has actually said and use the prompt rephrase. So rephrase it in, let's say, whatever language style you want. And it's quite good at changing its output to whatever context you'd like it. So it's yeah, very good tip there. Yeah, Terry, don't worry if you couldn't get it to work. Of course, we'll be sending the recordings out at the end, so not to worry. Obviously, feel free to follow along for now and then have a go at it in your own time, watching the recording back. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll move on. Yeah, if you could lose hours doing this, yeah, yeah, you very much can. Yeah, just the final point I want to cover before we'll go into some discussions is just the fact that ChatGPT can summarize articles. Another thing it's very useful for is summarizing articles. So again, if we let's say go back to our article that we had before, so let's say the Sora article, let's say I copy everything that we've got here, and yeah, let's say we'll copy this. I'll just copy this and I can ask ChatGPT, can you summarize this article for me? Article for, for me. And I can paste this in. This hopefully it isn't too long of a prompt. Yeah, and you can see it saves us quite a bit of time. It's just got a paragraph, um, just highlighting all of this text and summarizing it in just one small paragraph. So you can see it gets a general idea. So this article discusses the introduction of a new AI tool called Sora by OpenAI, and it tells us what Sora does. So yeah, it's another very useful tool. So if you don't want to spend ages or spend 15, 20 minutes just sitting down and reading a whole article, what you can do is take the whole article text, paste it into whatever LLM tool you like, ChatGPT or Gemini, and then just read the summary output at the end of it. So like so. Yeah, again, we've done some comparisons between GPT-4 and GPT-3. I will leave this task up. I don't think we've got enough time to do it, but just for the recording, if you'd like to attempt it at home, feel free to pause the recording here, have a go at these two tasks if you would like. But and I'll skip this part because just want to round off and just have some time for questions at the end. Just to round off, so ChatGPT, of course, is very useful. But it's not going to be able to generate all the content that you necessarily want because again, it has some limitations with, let's say, conveying emotion, and also with some of the outputs that it does provide, sometimes it's not necessarily 100% accurate. It does sometimes tend to make stuff up. So it's always important if you're using it to try and generate articles and use it as a base or doing any sort of research to fact check everything that it does put out. Otherwise, you may run into issues where you may publish something in misinforming people, and that wouldn't be good. So yeah, always fact check anything that it does put out, but it always often does provide a very good starting point for anything you want to do, especially when especially if you run into writer's block, want to have a topic for your next paragraph. It's always a very useful tool for that. And also another thing, just if you are trying to use AI generated content for SEO, it's again it's a very useful tool, but bear in mind, you know, with AI generated content, um, sometimes Google, especially, does penalize content solely that's designed to manipulate search engines. So that bear that in mind with whatever SEO meta descriptions you may put out. Okay. So I will open the floor up to questions now. But if you have any questions that pop up throughout the week that do not get answered at the end of the discussion today, we have the community support page. I'll get Faz to put a link to that in the chat. You can post a question on here throughout the week, or alternatively, you can drop us an email here with any questions that you may have with hello@codingwithcodex.co.uk. But again, I will open the floor up to any questions if anyone has any questions.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, feel free to also unmute yourself and ask as well.
Yeah. You had copied and pasted your newsletter, and was that okay because you had already published it? It was out on the internet anyway,
Yeah.
and there were no like personal personal information kind of issues.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So of course, if an article's already readily available, there's no sort of I would assume there's no sensitive data, of course, in there. So it's perfectly fine
Hello.
to sort of paste the information into ChatGPT. That's not really a problem. So feel free to do that. The only issues
Can
that
anybody
you would
hear
have
me?
with pasting content into ChatGPT is any sensitive information, whether that be, full names or date of births, whatever that may be, or addresses, just make sure not to paste those into ChatGPT. Anything that's in the public domain, it shouldn't be an issue because a lot of these LLMs have access to the internet anyway. So any information that is out there, they probably have access to it regardless. Yeah,
Okay.
I will
Thanks.
paste the check-in link for anyone that has missed it as well. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think Faz has done that as well. Okay, I'll delete mine. Yeah, so anyone that's missed it, there is the check-in link. If you make sure to check into the session, otherwise you may not receive the recording. But yeah, make sure you see the session. Okay. But ask another question. Can AI do other things like create is that a mileage log in Excel? If it can, how would you give the command? So it can. I mean, I'm not sure how it's specific to your context. So again, you need to describe what you want it to do as a prompt. So create a new chat, whatever you'd like. So let's actually try this now. So let's say how could I create a mileage log in, I can't spell again, mileage log in Excel. And it might give me some examples. So yeah, so it's given me some examples to do this. In fact, you can actually automate this process. We went through this in a previous week where we looked at the OpenAI API. That does require some technical know-how a little bit, where you might need to know some Python code and look at the OpenAI API. If you're interested, I will look at the OpenAI API. Feel free to have a look at it. It is a paid problem. It is like a paid thing, so you need to buy some OpenAI credits. But you can use this to automate. Oh, I don't know why it's come up with this. You can use this to actually automate a lot of things, whether you want to, make spreadsheets and do sort of things. But yeah, it's something you might want to have research into to try and actually have a look at. Okay. Is there? Yeah. So, Deeple, paste. So, should you paste the text of the article or paste the URL to the article? I would recommend always pasting the text of the article, particularly if you're using the free versions of either ChatGPT or Gemini, because they don't necessarily have, especially the free version of ChatGPT doesn't have access to the internet. If you use ChatGPT 4, sometimes you can, but always paste the text of the text of the article. If there's any questions I've missed, feel free to sort of drop them, re-drop them in the chat. I may have missed them. Seeing we've got so many questions in the chat. Tony, yeah, yeah. Do you know much about Sora? Yeah, not too much. I mean, does look very good. You can see if you've actually seen a lot of videos. One thing I've seen is with Sora. Let's say, let's say we had a car driving through, let's say, a mountain road. You can actually take that video and just prompt it with something else. So let's say you want to change the car to, let's say we had a 4x4 and we want to change it to a sedan. You could prompt it to change it to a sedan and it will do it the best it can just to replace that 4x4 with a sedan. And it would be almost like that as well. So yeah, it has a lot of capabilities. It's still in its infancy stage, but it's interesting to see what it can do in the next few years. Yeah, any further questions? I'm not sure. Yeah, again, if I've missed any, I apologize. Feel free to drop them in the chat. YP, how to get help with writing a resume. Again, like we sort of mentioned, be very careful. Do not paste your resume directly into any ChatGPT or any LLM. Again, be very careful with sensitive info, as a resume probably will have, because it can use your data for its training, but you can get general help. So, for example, you could ask it, let's say, to whatever you like. So let's say, how would I structure a resume? And it might be able to give me some information. So it's given me a general sort of idea. So you can say it will start with a header, summary, objective, education, work experience, and so forth. So it's given you maybe a general structure. Again, I've only provided one prompt. You could go into specific details about specific prompts. So let's say, how would I outline my education? And it might give me some more information on that. So it says, outlining your education section in your resume involves providing clear, concise information about your academic background, structured approach, and it's giving me some examples. So, whatever it may be. So, and it's, provided a general example like so. So yeah, it's very dependent on your specific taste, but you can use it just to give you some ideas, let's say. Yeah. Yeah. So you have problems with your resume where you feel the format does not support automated screening systems that companies use. Do you think ChatGPT can help you with that? Potentially. Um, it's very difficult to say that exactly, because it depends entirely on the company. Some companies have very specific resume screening systems. Some companies may just be like, it's very simple. They might just look for keywords in the job description and look for those keywords within your resume template or resume, whatever it may be. Again, you could have a go at it. One thing that might be good if you want to go down that route is paste the job description into ChatGPT and then get ChatGPT to provide back to you, what keywords should I include in my resume based off this job description. That's something I could recommend. Hopefully that makes sense. Any other questions I may have missed? Okay, just maybe a couple more minutes if anyone's got any further questions. Otherwise, I will wrap up the meeting.
Midhat, I'm just going to jump off mute
Yeah,
and just
go
pop in.
for it.
If anyone has any thoughts around, so I put this in the chat, but we are myself and a couple other members of the teams are headed down to the House of Parliament next week to speak with a few lords. UK is pretty archaic, so we still have lords over here about AI education in the UK space. And so it's something which, we pride ourselves on at Coding Codex of taking, the most important voices in the room when it comes to education, and that is the learners. Everyone in this session classifies as a learner. You've all turned up, so well done for that. Please do look out for an email I'll be sending over aside from our weekly sort of rundowns this week to get any thoughts that you may have about whether that be in the workplace or whether that be just personal anecdotal experiences you have with AI that you think needs to be raised. Doesn't matter if you're not based here in the UK, your experience matters to us. So yeah, just do keep an eye out for that. It'll just be a quick, again, sorry, but another Google form, anonymous as well. So yeah, if you have any points or anything that you want us to take into consideration as we talk to policy makers and leaders in this space, in sort of education, yeah, this is your opportunity to have impact on something very long standing. So yeah, just wanted to jump off mute and say that. But thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Faz. I think that's all that we've got time for this week. Again, if there's any immediate questions that come up throughout the week from anyone, or if for whatever reason you don't get access to the recording, feel free to either drop us an email or drop a question within the community support page, and we're of course happy to answer anything throughout the week. But yeah, that's all for this week. Hopefully we'll see you guys at the same time next week. Thank you all for coming, and see you guys next week. All right, bye everyone. Oh, just one more question. Question from Ruth. How can you give feedback to COA? I think they'll just drop us an email. There is a feedback page and an app relating to that. But drop us an email about it specifically, and we'll provide some more instructions about that.
And if it's to give feedback to COA, as in Perks at Work, the organization, just make that clear. We have regular check-ins with that team, so we can relay anything back to them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, just one more. One more question from Tara. For meta description generation, how does ChatGPT know what are the right keywords to focus on? A very difficult question to answer because no one knows the whole idea behind ChatGPT's algorithm. But effectively, it's got some code running in the background. If you know what, I guess, if you know what deep learning is, it uses deep learning methods to go off that. Again, I don't know the entire backend code behind ChatGPT, but it's a very complicated process. But yeah, just it uses a lot of algorithms in the background. That's all I can really say without, yeah.
I don't think ChatGPT developers know what what runs ChatGPT.
Yeah. I don't think even ChatGPT developers would be able to tell you. But yeah, just in a nutshell, all we can really say is lots of algorithms and code in the background. Yeah.
Lots of ones and zeros.
Yeah. All right. I think we will call the session here. Thank you all for coming. I hope to see you all next week then. All right. Bye, guys.